Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, going to be talking through a couple player props I like on PrizePicks for today's NBA slate on Friday, May the 19th. We have Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals on Friday night, Heat and Celtics. I got two player props I do like for this game, guys. Two fantasy score props we're going to talk about, so before we do talk through these two plays, as always, if you guys do enjoy these PrizePicks videos and if they do help you out, make sure you hit that like button down below. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you have not yet. If you guys are new to the channel, if you've never checked out PrizePicks before, you can actually sign up for PrizePicks and use my promo code NOAH. When you do sign up for PrizePicks with my promo code, you'll get your first deposit matched up to $100. So be sure to check them out. If you have not yet, use that code when you sign up and you will get your first deposit matched up to $100. Now, I want to recap our plays from Thursday's video before we do talk through today's plays. So we gave out two picks for Thursday for Game 2 of the Western Conference Finals, the Lakers-Nuggets game. We took the over on Jamal Murray's fantasy score. That play did hit for us. Jamal Murray had a really big game, had a really big fourth quarter. I think he finished with like over 50, maybe. I think he had actually like 60 fantasy points. Really big game from Jamal Murray. Unfortunately, though, we took the over on Anthony Davis's fantasy score. Anthony Davis did not have a very good game offensively. Luckily, he was able to get a good amount of rebounds, good amount of defensive stats. I think he had like 4 blocks. He finished with 51.8 fantasy points, if I remember correctly. Came up just short of his fantasy score, man. He needed 53 fantasy points, finished with 51.8, and he shot like, I want to say he shot like 4 for 16 or something. Like, he had a really bad offensive game. Felt like, AD played horribly and still almost got there for us, which was super frustrating. Felt like if he just had like an even slightly better offensive game, he would have gone over his fantasy score. That was annoying. We also took one of the plays I gave out on Patreon. We took over on Michael Porter Jr.'s fantasy score, and he finished less than 2 fantasy points short of his fantasy score as well. And he was in major foul trouble. He didn't play a ton in the first half because he picked up like 3 fouls. So it was just kind of a frustrating night. It really felt like we could have had a really good night, but AD comes up just short. That was super frustrating. After having such a bad game offensively, still felt like we almost could have got that fantasy score to hit. But we move on to Friday, guys. 2 more fantasy score props I like for this Celtics and Heat game. So let's talk through them. The 2 fantasy score props I do like for this one. The first one I'm going to talk about is going to be Bam Adebayo's fantasy score. This line has been sitting at like 35 pretty much like through the entire playoffs, and this is a line that Bam has been going over a good amount lately. You look over his last 5 games, he's gone over this line in 3 out of their last 5 games. The 2 games where he went under, I mean, he was just came up short, 33.4, 34.6. He did put up 37.1 fantasy points in game 1 of this series against Boston. And you think of Boston as being like a really good defensive team, and obviously they are. But Bam has had actually a lot of success against Boston so far this season for what it's worth. He's faced them 5 total times, including last game, the playoff game. In their 5 games against Boston this season, Bam has had 37.1, 38.7, 44.9, 55.5, and 37.1 fantasy points. So he's gone over this line in all 5 games against Boston this season. We know in the playoffs, Bam is going to play really big minutes. He played 37 minutes last game. Very likely he once again plays 37, 38, close to 40 minutes here. And Bam is a fantasy point per minute player. I mean, this is a guy that typically averages well over a fantasy point per minute when he's on the floor. Last game, I think he had like 20 points. He had 8 rebounds. He had 5 assists. He had a steal as well. He's just one of these guys that can do a little bit of everything when he's on the floor. He can get defensive stats. He typically averages over a fantasy point per minute. And if we expect Bam to play 37, 38 minutes and average over a fantasy point per minute, I feel like this line should be like 37.5 or maybe like 38. I definitely think 35 is a little bit too low here for Bam. Bam has been a player that, again, I've bet on him a lot this season, and for some reason, like every time I take an over on Bam, he usually lets me down. But we did take an over on Bam. I think it was a couple weeks ago, not a couple weeks ago, but a couple days ago. Can't remember which game it was. I think it was this game against the Knicks. He did really well, so maybe I'm on the good side with Bam now after hitting a prop on him last time I took him. Hopefully we can hit another one, but I definitely think this 35 fantasy score for Bam, it is a little bit too low, a few points too low. So that's going to be the first pick I take for today. And then the other pick that I like on the Celtics side, this was one that I took last slate as well. This was a play that I gave out on Patreon, and it hit for us. And I like going back to it. Marcus Smart, 28.5 fantasy score. I took this over. It was at 28.5 last game. Smart had a really good game, finished with just over 37 fantasy points. I think he had a double-double. He had like 11 points. I'm going to pull up his game log, just confirm that. But he had 13 points. He had 11 assists last game. Also had 2 steals and a block. We know Marcus Smart is a player that when he's on the court, he can score, he can get some assists, he can also get defensive stats, and those are really important for PrizePicks fantasy scoring. You do get 3 points per block per steal. Smart can get like 2-3 blocks, not blocks necessarily, but definitely 2-3 steals. He could get maybe a block or 2. He can rack up those defensive stats, which really add up quick. And Smart's another guy that typically averages close to a fantasy point per minute. He's not as good of a per minute producer as Bam is, but so far this season, Marcus Smart, I believe he's averaged about 0.9 fantasy points per minute. So he's a guy that typically averages close to a fantasy point per minute when he's on the floor, and his minutes have been pretty good lately. I mean, you look over like their last 5 games, really last 6 games, 34.5, 42.5, 34, 42, 39, and then 34 minutes for Marcus Smart. We did see the Celtics go back to an 8-man rotation last game. They actually played Peyton Pritchard. I think Peyton Pritchard got like 10 or 11 minutes. Before that, their previous 2 games, they were just running a 7-man rotation. Since Boston lost game 1, maybe they tighten things up here. Maybe they go back to a 7-man rotation. Either way, we should expect Marcus Smart to probably play 34, 35 minutes at least, and I definitely think there's a chance he could play like 37, 38 minutes. He's just so important for the Celtics. He's a great defender. He's such a good player to have on your team. The minutes are usually always going to be pretty secure for Marcus Smart. So I think 28.5 fantasy score. We expect Smart to play like 35, 36 minutes. I would bank on him going over this fantasy score line more times than not when he's playing that many minutes. And very similar to Bam Adebayo, this is a matchup that Marcus Smart has had some success in this season. These teams have played 4 times this year in their 4 games against Miami. Smart did have one down game where he just put up 13.5 fantasy points, but the other 3 games against Miami this season, 29.5, 40.1, and 37.7 fantasy points. So I definitely like Smart's over fantasy score here. I definitely think this line could be like 30.5 maybe 29.5. I feel like 28.5 is probably like a point or two too low. So these are the 2 picks I like for Friday night's game, game 2 of the Celtics and Sixers, or not Sixers, but Celtics and Heat series. This is kind of what I'm liking, taking a look at the board right now, a first look on Thursday night when I'm recording this video. But as always, guys, if I do find any more NBA plays I like for today, I'll share those over on Patreon. I'll probably be giving out some MLB plays over on Patreon as well. If you guys want to check out all the additional PrizePicks plays I'm on each day, you can check that out, linked down below in the description over on Patreon. But appreciate you guys watching this video. Make sure you hit that like button down below if you guys enjoyed. Hit that subscribe button if you have not yet. And go check out PrizePicks as well. If you're not signed up for PrizePicks yet, get signed up over there. Use that promo code NOAH. You will get your first deposit matched up to $100 when you do sign up for PrizePicks with promo code NOAH. But that's all that I got for today, guys. Wish you the best of luck. Hopefully you guys enjoy your Friday night. Enjoy your weekend. Hopefully we can all make some money tonight. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.